DeSoto and the DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast present Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life. And now, here he is, the one, the only...
Again with $1,000 for one of our couples, and if any of them say the secret word, the duck will fly down and pay him $100. The word tonight is foot.
Just before we went on the air, our studio audience selected Mr. Joe Egbert to be on the show tonight. His partner is a housewife, Mrs. Esther Bradley. So, folks, would you come in, please, and meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life. Say the secret word, and you'll each get an extra $50. It's a common word, something you always have with you. Joe, I always start with the ladies, so tonight, for a change, I'll start with you. Where are you from, Joe?
I was born in Rock Rapids, Iowa. Later moved to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And in 1936, I came to Los Angeles.
Oh. Are you in business for yourself, or do you work for somebody else?
Well, I work for the city of Los Angeles.
In other words, you're in business for yourself. What do you do for the city?
I'm an animal license inspector.
Animal license?
That's
well,
right.
Don't look at me. I just renewed. Do you also inspect? He's a pretty gay dog himself, isn't he? I think he swallowed a Mexican hairless. Do you also inspect marriage licenses?
No, just animals, sir. That's all.
Then you must inspect marriage licenses. Because if you dig deep enough into most marriages, you'll find there's a jackass there somewhere. You just go around and check all cats and dogs to see that they have tags, is that it?
No, only dogs. Cats don't need licenses.
Well, that's the worst political discrimination I ever heard of. And speaking in behalf of all the other dogs, I object very strongly. By Jove. Has a dog ever bit you?
A couple times.
Well, now you know why.
Right.
I may take a few nips myself before we're through. I have a bottle in my back pocket. Joe, you go find a bone. I'll be back with you shortly. And your name is Esther Bradley, is that
That's right?
That's right. Where are you from, Esther?
I was born in Matamoros, Pennsylvania.
Where?
Matamoros, Pennsylvania.
Mizamashina, Pennsylvania, huh?
It's
Spell it.
Matamoras.
Matamoros?
Matamoros.
Oh.
It's just a little old place. I mean, it's
Well,
well,
how old is it, Esther?
I meant it was just real tiny.
Oh,
you know, about 5 or 6.
Real teeny?
Well, it's just, small.
Well, is it teeny tiny or just tiny teeny?
I guess it's just tiny.
How big is this metropolis?
Well, it's got about 700 or 800 people. That's when I saw it last.
When was that?
Oh, about 5 or 6 years ago.
Did you go to school in Matamoros?
No, we moved to a bigger place. That was Port Jervis, New York.
You moved to Port Jervis,
Uh-huh.
huh? You wanted to get in a metropolitan center, huh?
Yeah, uh-huh. That was right across the river from Matamoros.
Did you swim over, or did you take a bridge or something?
Well, I don't remember. I was kind of small. I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Oh. You know, occasionally I ask people what their childhood ambitions were. Did you have any ambitions? For example, did you want to be a ballet dancer or a writer?
Well, just about every time I saw a movie, I wanted to be something different, Everybody except Jesse James.
Well, did you fulfill your ambition in any way?
No, I went to work in a lipstick factory.
You went to work in a lipstick factory?
Yeah, that was my first job when I got out of school.
How'd you like it?
Oh, it was pretty miserable.
Why? They wouldn't give you none of your lip?
Well, it's just the things they asked you to do, They were
Well, what did they ask you to do?
Work.
Well, that's certainly taking unfair advantage of you. I don't blame you regarding that as a miserable existence, huh? Nobody works anymore now. Well, why was it terrible, this job? Did the lipstick keep coming off on the boss, or what happened?
No. Well, I had one job. I had to work on a conveyor belt, and
You were on this belt?
No, I was standing in front of it. I had to put the little lipsticks on the pegs as they went by, and if I didn't put them on, why, the little pegs would get painted. And you're making me nervous.
Well, I could leave the room until this blows over again.
Well, no, the little post would get painted, and then they'd have to stop the machine and wipe the paint off. And I had a real bad cold, and I had a Kleenex in my pocket, but I couldn't stop to take it out to blow my nose because the post would get painted.
Well, that's quite a situation, huh? You blew your nose, and the foreman blew his top, I suppose. Well, did he bounce you after this?
No, he gave me another job.
You certainly were the acme of efficiency, weren't you?
Well,
What happened then?
well,
What kind of a job did you get then?
I had to press a little lever, and it would print a little name. But I pressed the lever too hard, and it broke the die.
Well, what did the foreman say this time?
I don't quite remember his exact words, but he said something, if you butch this job out, you go. And he gave me the job.
Well, he gave you another job?
Yeah.
This is the third job you had. What happened on this one?
I butched it.
Well, this is a real success story. I'm surprised the Reader's Digest hasn't snapped this up. What happened then, Esther?
Well, he gave me a job that I'd put the lipstick tube itself on another post and slice out the little place where the carrier goes through. So I worked at it pretty good for about half an hour, and then I sliced my thumb instead of the tube. And I couldn't go on because my thumb was sore.
That's bad. Why couldn't you go on with a sore thumb?
Well, I'd sliced it pretty badly.
Well, you should have hooked it. I mean, did you... Well, after you put the lipstick company out of business, Esther, who was your next employer? What company did you pauperize next?
Well, I went to work for the government.
Well, that certainly sounds like a logical sequence. Gentlemen, we're all doomed. What kind of a job did you have this was in Washington?
Yeah, Washington,
What kind of a
D.C.
job did you have there?
Well, I worked in death claims and retirement.
You worked in death claims?
You know, where people would send you their death certificates. I mean, not the people.
Was this
Their
before or
survivors.
after, huh?
Their survivors would send you death certificates.
Well, at least you didn't get any complaints from the... Or did you? How long did you work in Washington?
Until I broke my ankle.
Well, next to the Louisiana Purchase, that's the greatest break this country ever had. Esther, do you have a job now?
Yes, I work at Lockheed.
Folks, next time, take the train. Well, what did you do at Lockheed besides making Douglas aircraft happy? Did you make misguided missiles?
No, that's a different department.
Huh?
That's a different department.
You didn't make misguided missiles?
No.
What did you make?
Nuts and bolts and toggle ends and terminals and switches and...
You were nuts and bolts, huh? That personnel director certainly knew his business all right. He was a plain genius. Well, Esther, in spite of everything, you're very charming, and I think it was nice of you to kind of disclose this whole thing without... you didn't mind being kidded. It's all in fun. Are you married?
Yes.
I'd like to meet your husband sometime. Esther, when are the visiting hours? Esther, how did you meet your husband?
Well, I met him before I started at Lockheed. I ran into him in a dark hall.
What did you have, a crowbar in your hand?
I mean, it wasn't well lighted, you know.
It was a dark hall, and
It was dark.
You bumped into him?
Well, I was looking the other way, talking over my shoulder, and he was coming up this way, and I was going that way. No, I was coming this way, and he was coming towards me.
And then you got married?
Well, no, not right away. He was kind of, well, he was, he just couldn't seem to make up his mind.
Well, how long did you pursue this victim? Huh?
Oh, it was quite a while.
How long before you nailed him? Huh?
Well, about 2 or 3 years I worked on it.
Well, that's putting it in a romantic way, I think.
Well,
what did you do to get him to show some interest in you, Esther?
Well, I used to map out little plans. He was very serious, and I thought that was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, he was...
Well, you could hardly blame him for that.
Well, he knew so many things that I didn't know. And,
Esther, that wasn't difficult.
What I mean, well, he's just like, you know, any man. He knows about streets and highways and buses, you know, and most women don't.
No.
And
very few women know anything about highways.
So I'd always...
Buses, they know a lot about.
I'd ask him how to get to certain places in Los Angeles, you know, like Sunset and Alvarado or...
What was going on there?
Nothing. I didn't even want to go there. You see, I wanted to talk
Well, do you
to
know
him.
anybody that wants to go to Sunset and Alvarado?
No.
I don't. I don't think anybody wants to go there. Well, how did you finally land your husband?
Well...
Was this at Sunset and Alvarado?
No. This was about 2 or 3 months later, and I was going to have an operation. And,
at Sunset and Alvarado?
No, I was going to have it. It was next to a foot clinic.
What kind of an operation?
Well, it was just you know, how it was for tonsils.
You went to a foot clinic to get your tonsils clipped?
No, that's where I was supposed to meet him. I mean, that's where I got lost. I went
You
there.
better give us the whole story. I can't follow it this way.
I told him I'd meet him at the hospital, and he said okay. So I was...
This was after you bumped into him in the hall?
Oh, that was a long time afterwards.
Oh.
So instead, I got mixed up, and I went in Dr. Hiss's foot clinic. And I was sitting there...
Wait a minute.
We won the duck.
Well,
Good.
I think you're bumping it.
The duck was... You don't know where that doctor is now, do you? All right, take him away, huh? Take him to the duck hospital. But you said the secret word, which is the Sunset in Alvarado. Esther, I hate to ask you this, but do you have any outside hobbies or interests to while away your time, such as blowing up bridges?
Well, nothing that big, but...
No.
I have a few.
Well, what? What, for example?
Well, I like to sing, and I like to dance, and I like to laugh, and I like to talk, and...
Well, you do it very well, too, Esther. Could you sing a little song? For what kind of songs do you sing?
Well, I kind of like Western music.
Uh-huh. Western music?
Uh-huh.
Could you sing us a Western song?
Oh, yeah.
Why do you like Western music so much over Eastern music?
I don't know. I guess you hear more of it. It's kind of... I get it on the car radio going home. That's what started me liking it.
Oh.
It's the only thing.
I guess that's true. It does. Could you give us a short sample of your singing? We have an animal inspector here, and he may be able to put in a good word for you someplace.
Okay.
Go ahead and make it short. You need music?
Yeah, because my voice isn't too good.
Well,
you know,
either is the music, but...
you know, in Western music, they always have somebody...
Home on the Range?
They always have somebody right near them, you know, to drown out bad notes. It helps.
Yeah. Say, Could you bring up a trumpet here and play a little music for her? Come on, bring up the trumpet. What are you, Home on the Range? You know?
No.
Give me a home, you know?
How about Making Believe?
Making Believe?
Probably he doesn't know
Making
it.
Believe, you know that? That's hardly a Western song.
Oh, yes, Kitty
It is?
Wells sings it.
Who?
Kitty Wells.
Kitty Wells. Is that near here? That's Kitty Hawk, isn't it? Well, what other? Don't you know any other Western song that's well known?
Well,
You don't know Home on the Range.
I don't know
What
all
about
the
16
words.
Tons?
no, I haven't learned that yet. That's more of a man's song.
Oh. Well, could you sing 8 Tons? That's a woman's song. Well, sing anything you want, and he'll try to follow you.
Okay.
Come on, trumpet.
I'm making believe.
Well, wait a minute. Don't make believe until he gets up here, huh? I'm making believe. That's it. Come on.
I'm making believe that you still love me. Leave me alone and feeling so blue. Can't hold you close when you're not near me. You're somebody's love, but you'll never be mine. Oh, making believe.
Making believe.
I'll spend my lifetime loving you and making believe.
Oh, making believe. That was fun. That was a real humdinger. Well, Esther, to say that this has been an experience is but to show the poverty of my vocabulary. Now let's see how much money you can earn in the Quizola.
Could I put something?
Well,
I can't answer any of those questions because I don't know anything about much.
Well, don't you know anything about anything, Esther?
Well, MSP. I can give you lots of part numbers.
Partner.
Well, MS21919WDG-36.
What is that?
That's a clamp.
That's a clamp? And what's a clamp? I don't understand.
It's a little like a little clamp. You
Oh,
know?
a clamp.
Yeah, like a bicycle clamp,
Oh, like,
but it isn't.
oh, I thought like clamp, the boys are marching. Well, do you have anybody that you would like to replace you? Do you have somebody in the audience, your husband or so?
No, I don't know, so
Well,
I'll have to,
would you like somebody to take your place?
to fill in for me.
To fill in for you?
Yes, somebody with brains.
Well, is there somebody in the audience that would like to replace Esther and Cleve and maybe quit some money for her? Is there a 3-year-old boy out? Remember, you don't get any of the money. Esther gets the money. Esther gets the money. All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, we ought to call out the Marines here. Sailors, huh? Now, you keep quiet, Esther. Not 3 of you now. By the way, sailor, what's your name?
Pat Hunt, Aviation Ordnance, First Class.
All right, you selected animals and birds, and if there's anything a sailor ought to know something about, it's the birds and the bees. Now, you know how to play this game. You've been listening to this. Now, you know the small questions are easy and the big questions are hard. Maybe Esther will give you a cut of her money if you win a lot of it. Would you, Esther?
Sure.
Would you give him some of the money?
Well, sure, if he's smart.
Oh.
Well, I'll try.
Why don't you get over there between the two men, Esther?
Okay, that'll be grand.
It's not very safe, Esther, between a sailor and a dog man, huh? Sailor, by the way, what is your job in the Navy?
I work with guided missiles, Groucho.
You sit on them, or you just, what do you do, help manufacture them?
I carry them around.
Oh, I see. All right, now what are you going to start with? 50, 60, 80, 100, or 10, anything you want.
70.
not in this.
All right, what do you call the small, burrowing animal whose body is encased in bony plate? He's now fairly common in our own Southwest.
Encased in what?
In bony plate. Small, burrowing animal whose body is encased in bony plate. They're fairly common in the Southwest.
Armadillo?
That's right. Armadillo is right.
You now have $170.
Okay, now what are you going to go for? You couldn't have answered that, could you?
No.
$80. What do you call the species of weasel whose coat turns white in the winter? Species of weasel whose coat turns white in the winter.
No.
No. Oh.
No, it's Eyman. E-R-M-I-N-E. Not Vyman, but Eyman, huh?
Well, you still have half your 170. You have $85.
All right, now come on, get going there, sailor.
90.
What kind of an animal or bird is coaching?
Chicken.
That's right. Chicken is right.
You now have $175.
Now, what are you going to try?
100.
Oh.
Your money.
All right. What is petrol? P-E-T-R-E-L.
That's a bird.
That's right. An aquatic bird is right.
And you wind up with $275.
Well, now, Esther, you won half of that,
Yeah.
and they got $100? No, $275. How much is half of $270? That's $137.50, isn't it?
85.
What?
Altogether? No, it must be 2.5 something.
It's 130.
Got a 5 there. I know that much.
It's 137.50, isn't it? 137.50. Now, how much are you going to give the sailor, Esther?
Well, how much should we give him?
I don't care. But
Oh,
you.
it's up to you.
Well, you certainly ought to give him $50, don't you think
All
so?
right.
Don't you think that's fair, sailor?
I think it's real good.
How do you feel about it?
Okay with me?
Okay, well, you get $50 and you split $225. And the secret word, that's $325. Well, thanks. And you're going to give the sailor an extra $50, so he gets $100. Esther, you're going to give him 50 out of your total winnings, and we're going to give him 50.
And he's going to give him 50.
No, no. We're going to give him 50. Well, I'll kiss the sailor and everybody beat it. Thank you. Where could you have this much fun for nothing, huh?
Well, Groucho, I think it's pretty obvious that Mrs. Esther Bradley has thrown our usual show setup into a state of bewildering confusion tonight. I have no idea what we're going to do next, but I see that John Goodell, our producer, is having a huddle down there, and I think he'd like you to join him.
Settle, George. The two couples who are left out tonight are coming back again next week to play You Bet Your Life.
Oh, what about Mrs. Bradley and her partners?
Who? Mrs. Bradley. Oh, well, she'll be here again next week, too.
And if it turns out that she and her partners won the most money, they'll get the chance at the $1,000?
That's right. So, folks, tune in again next week for another exciting chapter in One Man's Esther.
Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same station, for Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life. Brought to you by your DeSoto Plymouth dealer. And don't forget to listen to You Bet Your Life every Wednesday night on radio.